Hi, everybody. This is Charlie Guarino. Welcome to another edition of Tech Talk SMB. As you can see in the video here today, I am thrilled to be joined today by Miss Linda Alkire, Linda of IBM. Linda is a senior program manager at IBM, specializing in content design and UX design at IBM. She's also a Red Book author, which I'm very impressed from quite some time ago, implementing AS400 VPNs networks, which is to me is absolutely amazing to be a Red Book author. I think that's amazing. And I know you're very passionate about educating people and users in the IBMI technology, IBMI power technologies. Working with IBM, we're doing this with over 25 years experience doing this. I know you also work with the Power Skills Academy, and we'll talk about that because that's an important thing. I know that's a big part of why we're meeting here today, with the mission to help attract and nurture new talent to this platform, which is very vibrant. And we'll talk about how we're going to do that. I know you also, one thing we talked about is you're a huge Vikings fan, as evidenced by behind the wall behind you. I see lots of Viking memorabilia there. What can you tell me about the Vikings wall there?
Oh, I've got my signed Justin Jefferson jersey. I've got a signed photo of him. I'm a huge fan, and we're 5-0 today. As of today, I think this is coming out in November, so hopefully we'll be 6-0 by then, maybe 7-0. I can't. Anyway, I love my Vikings. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. Well, I'm not from Minnesota, but good luck to the Vikings. Go Vikings. I'm there
Hey, this
with you.
doesn't happen very often, so I'll take it.
And you should, enjoy the moment while it lasts, as they say,
Yes.
right? So thank you for joining me today, Linda. It's
Thank you
so
for
nice.
having
It's
me.
so nice to see you. We did have the chance to spend a little bit of time at the recent Common Navigate experience, and we talked about Power Skills Academy. And
Yep.
I want to get that message out because I think you have a very important message that needs to be shared with the world and with the community, and talking about not just Power Skills Academy, but just in general, how about the IBMI community, the community and the platform and getting new talent. So let's go back to the beginning. I mentioned a couple of times Power Skills Academy. What actually is the Power Skills Academy?
Okay, good question.
Thanks.
So the Power Skills Academy, many of your viewers probably have heard of the Power Systems Academic Initiative. So Power Skills Academy is sort of the next generation of the Power Systems Academic Initiative, which, by the way, is very difficult to say um, quickly 3 times. And with we are on a mission to develop and nurture, as you said, the next generation of IBMI professionals. We heard the call from the community and our customers and partners worldwide that there's a looming skills shortage. And, in previous years, maybe the program wasn't um, as active in the community as it had been in years past. And we've decided to change that. So that's what the Power Skills Academy is. And we're and just as another little point of clarity, it is a program focused for academic institutions throughout the world, colleges, universities, technical schools, and faculty and students will then get free access to the many resources that we have available on that program.
So it is intended really for universities. It's not intended for the
Right.
traditional everyday layperson who might be in the industry right now.
Yes, that's a true statement with a little bit of a tweak. There are several really great resources that we've been adding over the last 6 to 8 months that we're keeping open to everyone. We have a whole new guest lecture series, that are presented by IBM experts throughout the community, not just from IBM, but we have several from IBM, of course, but also from the community. And we're looking to add more all the time. Those are open to everyone. They're small, easy to consume, hour long educational, webinars or replays or videos.
So the mission is indeed expanding.
We are looking to take over the world. No, I'm just kidding. No, yes, we're expanding because we're listening to, I've been kind of on a listening tour for the last, since I, started managing this program. to understand the needs and the requirements. And one of the biggest things we hear is, this is great for students. What about my new employee? How do I get my new employee skilled? And so we're looking at some ways that we can address that with this Power Skills Academy, but also with other resources that we provide.
Linda, I've been in this community long enough to recognize some of the issues that the platform has, which, by the way, this is my entire career. So it is to me a platform that's second to none. But there are, unfortunately, I think, a lot of misconceptions out there about the platform, and I think Power Skills Academy might help dispel some of those misconceptions. What do you think some of the misconceptions are, and how do you think there are some ways to dispel some of those?
Sure. I mean, I think this is like not new news. Um, it, some of the primary misconceptions that we hear all the time is IBMI is a legacy platform. I mean, this is even if they know what IBMI is, right? So if they've even heard of it, it's legacy, it's proprietary, it's difficult to learn, it's obsolete. What companies are using IBMI? Those are the kinds of things that we hear a lot, and I'm sure you all have as well. So to answer the other side of that question, what are some of the things that Power Skills or IBM in general can do? I think that we really need to continue talking about and socializing with students and faculty, early career professionals, and really anyone, that guess what? IBM is not only the backbone of thousands of companies around the world, but actually, we embrace open source and new technologies for modernization. Think of, for example, Code for I. We were just talking about Liam Allen. So, Code for I is a free open source extension to Visual Studio Code. And that allows programmers to develop and maintain their IBMI apps right within Visual Studio Code. Now, I'm not the most technical girl on earth, but I do know that this is a big deal in terms of getting new skills, because most programmers coming out of college know Visual Studio. And then, of course, there's the AI-based RPG code assistant project that our CTO, Steve Will, and his team have been working on. That's another really great modern initiative that I think will resonate with students and early career professionals. It's not old blue IBM. It's new, exciting IBM.
It's completely true. I mean, everything you have said, I totally agree with.
Yeah.
Yet I still find this bit of a nagging concern of that I have myself, is that I think the message is not being heard loud as loud, and that's why we're doing this today, to help get that message out there. But if I'm a developer, or if I'm a new developer to just IT, what do you think would make me drift more or focus more on IBMI versus going to a different platform?
Well, I like to put it like this. Do you want to be a small fish in a big pond, or a big fish in a small pond? And what I mean by that is, if you have even a propensity for IT and an understanding that what IBMI does, you're probably going to find a job, and a really good job, and have a fulfilling career. If that's not a selling point to a student, it's certainly a selling point to a student's parent. Easy for me to say. I have English majors for kids.
So let's flip this around just for a minute. So if I'm an employer, and now I need to attract somebody to come to my company, what things should I be offering to attract young talent? Because I'm not going to get them in the front door if I'm not allowing them to use these modern tools you just talked about.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it kind of goes back to some of the things that I learned at Navigate last week, or 2 weeks ago, that maybe we'll talk about in a moment. But once So an employer needs to understand that they don't necessarily need 7 years of experience on AS400 or RPG programming or sysadmin or operations in order to find an employee that is going to thrive in their environment. Um, so employers need, they need to help themselves as well, if that makes any sense. I hopefully it does, and I'm trying to be harsh, but that is a reality. A lot of the job. Oh, and where are these job recs coming from? We heard from the students that we talked to at our workshop last week that they don't even know where to begin looking. They don't know what the keywords are. So the companies can help themselves with honing in on those skills or honing in on those items, and IBM Power Skills Academy can hopefully bridge that gap and provide guidance on both sides on how to find that stuff.
All right, so what you've said to me so far, it sounds very promising and very inspirational, in fact. But if I'm a student today, how do I even learn more or get engaged with the Power Skills Academy? What's my roadmap? What are my next steps to get more involved?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Also, Charlie, thank you. I guess that's why they pay you big bucks. Um, it's a bit of a dilemma, honestly. We we have been working in these past few months on some targeted outreach to universities and mostly technical colleges that are in the region of some of our customers, and talking and trying to break through the wall and say, will you talk to us, and can we come to you with XYZ company and talk to you about the kind of jobs that they hire for. Those are the kinds of things that we can do. Working with the Common Education Foundation and with their the meet and greets that they do, and trying to bring more of our companies that we know about that they don't know about into the mix, and then just make that connection. There's so many things in the plan that we still need to do to build that, and obviously that's the bread and butter of this whole program, is
Right.
connecting the students to the customers.
Yeah, you mentioned a few minutes ago, Common Navigate, and for those who don't know about Common in general, it's the largest community group, if you will, in this community, IBMI community for sure. And Common hosts very large events, many times a year. Um, Power Up is the big one, of course, and you mentioned Navigate, which was one we just attended a few weeks ago in Florida, and you were there, and you and I got to chat a little bit. And you mentioned just now that there were a couple of key takeaways that you got even from Navigate. I'd be curious to hear what some of those are.
Yeah, it was a really interesting session. So what we did at Navigate, um, Felix Portnoy, who's our design principal for Power, Brandon Pedersen, who's our marketing manager for IBMI, and myself, we ran an enterprise design thinking workshop. And the primary goal of the workshop was to identify pain points that our participants experienced on their journey to IBMI, so a career in IBMI. And we really focused on 4 phases of that journey. Awareness and discovery. So basically, how did you ever hear about IBM or IBM? Skills development and education. Where did you get your skills? What were the pain points in getting those skills? Building professional relationships. Relationships and networks. What have you done? Or, are you finding that to be difficult? Is that easy, etc.? What was your job search like? And then, of course, onboarding and continuous education. So once you have a job, what kind of continuing education did you receive, or what were the pain points in that area? And then, so it could have gone on all day probably, because we had a lot of great input. I think we had a total of 24 participants.
That's a big number.
Yeah, it was 24 participants with 4 students and 1 instructor from Pennsylvania College of Technology. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We plan to have more students there. Unfortunately, the Florida weather prevented them from attending, but still we had 8 what we call early career professionals, and then 11 subject matter experts, whether they're from IBMI or from IBM, company IBM, or Common Board, or the community. We had 11 participants. It was really great. And so after we identified the pain points for each of these areas, then we spent some good time talking, ideating on what are the solutions on those top 3 in each of those areas. So, where I'm at right now is still an analysis phase. I'm sure you can imagine we got a lot of great data. And in fact, when I showed you my wall of Vikings, up until a few days ago, I had a wall of sticky notes that I brought back from Florida with me. But early analysis tells me that this is the key pain, or the key things. Who are the companies hiring IBM skills? That's been a thing. What are the specific skills required? Is there a roadmap or a curriculum by these companies? What do these companies require in terms of skills? And where do I get them? This isn't really new news to me. It's sort of a validation of what we've suspected all along. But the really nice thing about this workshop is we have real customers, real students, real people who are engaged and interested in helping us solve the problems. So eventually, once we do the analysis, we'll come up with an actionable plan to address some of these, major things, and hopefully make everybody happy. And I just wanted to mention too that we did have one bonus. Why don't we make RDI free? That one got a lot of votes. I had to throw that one out because I'm pretty sure we're probably not going to do that. So anyway, so the workshop was very, very interesting. I'm working on a readout right now. Maybe you'll have me back in a couple of months, and we can talk about some of the things that we've done to address the major pain points.
I think that'd be a very interesting, before and after kind of conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's expand on that then. I know you've done the initial deep dive, you've gotten the inquiries, you've gotten the questions, the pain points, as you said, and now you mentioned coming up with an actionable plan. But once you have this plan, how do you get the word out? How is this going to be evangelized in the community so people, to gain more awareness?
Well, the usual routes. We will most certainly socialize to our own networks. We'll announce what we're doing, especially if there's big announcements like, oh, we're launching XYZ badge, IBM Ready badge. We'll promote it in that way. We'll attend conferences, and I've got email communications with our member colleges that we'll send out. We'll just scream from the rooftops, because I think that's something that we've run into, is awareness is a big part of our problem, because as I think there is a lot of really great skills resources, education resources out there. It's just knowing what to look for and where.
And many of them are free. Many of them are free.
And many of them are free. Yes, many of them are free. That is absolutely true.
So it's just a matter of they're there for the taking, for sure.
Yep.
And you did. I did write down. You mentioned IBM Ready. I know that's a new initiative. Can you speak to that? I mean, I know it may not be your initiative, but can you speak to that, and what's the value in that?
Yeah, I along with I guess I was more the logistics person and the tracker of the metrics. So the IBM product team, working with several folks from I think the CAC, came up with 20 to 40 questions to build this badge that we call IBM Ready, and it's really a foundational badge that allows. I mean, target audience, of course, was young, or I won't say young, earlier career professionals, and maybe students who are taking IBM related classes, to show that they have foundational knowledge of the platform. I got to tell you, we launched it on August 27th. We've had over almost 1,500 apps to date. So, and a 65 plus badge issuing. So it's been popular, and that kind of speaks to the whole social thing. How did we get the word out about it? So hopefully we can do that with our other programs.
And to me,
So
if you're a new developer to this platform, maybe not a new developer to the platform, certainly, I think that certification does have some value to it to show that you've done
yeah,
at least the preliminary work to say that you have
yes.
some literacy, some literacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've, I keep saying I personally have heard from companies that that would be a value on a resume. That would, if my resume or if my job rec says 7 years of experience, but I have an IBM Ready badge, that tells an employer that they've taken the initiative to learn enough to pass, to get the badge from IBM. And, I don't think I'm pre-announcing anything when I say that we're planning to do at least two, probably three additional badges of that type, foundational skills badges, not necessarily associated with any one course, but with, knowledge gained over time, sort of a thing.
And a very valuable attribute that employers look for. You mentioned taking having the initiative to take the certification, which
Right.
and I know you mentioned that there are 20 to 40 questions, but I think you only get asked about 20 of them on the test, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. We have a
But
bank of questions, so I think it's not the same every single time.
right, but the larger point here is that you've taken the initiative, and that's a huge
Yes,
soft skill, and that that complements the literacy of IBM, and to get those combined really just show. I think
right.
it does have some ability to separate those who are more serious about their career.
Can you give me 1 second and I am going to actually break down one of the reasons we launched out this this badge is like I said to target early career professionals less than 5 years, maybe less than 10 years in the business or students. And I can tell you that 34% of our badge applicants were between ages 26 and 35.
That's not insignificant.
10% were between 18 and 25.
That's even more significant, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, exactly. And then 19.8, 35 to 45, and then 18.9, 46 to 55, and then the rest is over 55. So I think that what, the great thing about that metric is maybe it's disproving the myth of the looming skills shortage. I don't know, but at least it shows that there's interest in the more early in their careers professionals in the platform.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on. You mentioned there were some students at the workshop at Common Navigate.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to hear what their view of the platform is. I mean, they the fact that they were at Navigate obviously by default does express some interest,
yeah.
but I'd be curious to hear what their particular interest was in the IBMI platform, I should say, or do they even have a real knowledge, and how deep is that, or are they even just IBMI ready for the certificate or not?
Well, glad you asked. Because I did have an opportunity to talk to the four students and the instructor from um, Pennsylvania College of Technology. And interestingly enough, they don't have an I program at that college. That instructor, however, has attended Common or Common Navigate at least 3 times in the last couple of years. So he has interest. He just doesn't know where to start. Well, I finally met him and I said, listen, here's what we do. We start. So the students that he brought with him were in IT or CS fields of various different technologies, but they were really energized by the community and the support that folks like you, Charlie, gave them while they were it was just a really good positive experience. And I've gotten all four of them wrote me an email afterwards, talking about even just the workshop and how valuable it was, and asking for more information about how do I get more information about I until it's at my university.
One
No, I
thing,
thought that was really great.
one thing, even though it was a long time ago, one thing that really set me on this journey, if you want to call it that, in IT, it wasn't even called IT when I started, of course, 3,000 years ago. But what got me started was
Rock.
yeah, well, maybe not quite, maybe not, I hope not, maybe not quite that far back. But anyway, um, what really got me started, and I will say this till for a very long time, and that is that I had an instructor who really inspired me with a vision and an excitement about wanting to learn more about this crazy industry of IT and data processing and IT in general. But it speaks to the value of a mentor, and I think Power Skills Academy um, can really capture that and really run with that mission or that spirit of mentorship. And
Mhm.
because that to me is, I mean, we can talk all day long about learning and take initiative, but when you have a mentor who's really uh, rounding out that whole set of
Yes.
of talent, I think it can really hit the gas pedal and really accelerate someone's career.
Well, actually, no, I 100% agree. And in fact, that is definitely one of the areas that have received the most votes on solutions to pain points in this workshop. Again, not really new news, but a validation of what we already knew. So now how do we execute on that? And, you know, we know the N2I organization, part of Common, they have a mentorship program. How can we incent those in the community to participate in that as mentors? And then, we can help do our part by getting the students there. Because I think every single student and even the early career professionals said having a mentor makes a difference. In maybe not in those exact words, but that was the spirit of it.
And it doesn't take much to be a mentor. You can even be an
Right,
accidental mentor. You don't have to be,
right,
I'm deliberately going to take one individual and run with this person just by helping the community at large, whatever that means.
right.
Even the simplest little blog post, for example, anything. But I think it might be interesting even for students to do the same thing, especially those who may have spent a little bit of time going through the program as you talked about, or anything, just to show those who are even newer than them that there's a path that they can follow, and
Yes,
and let me add to that, the path can be successful.
yes, absolutely. I have an example of a woman that I met, a young woman, if I'm allowed to say that, at Power Up in Fort Worth. And her story was just so interesting to me. She's newly out of college. I won't say I won't say her name because I didn't tell her I was going to talk about her on here, but newly out of college, works for one of our partners, and real techno geek, just really interested, and saw a job posting for the company she works for now for like some sort of senior system admin. Well, she didn't even know what IBMI was, but she's like, this sounds interesting to me. So she went in, she did the interview. They were so impressed with her that they did hire her, maybe not for that position, but the crux of the story is she got the job. She's going to Common now. In fact, she couldn't go to Common the year before her first year because she wasn't 21, and that's how young she was. And but her friends are intrigued by the fact that she has this really neat job that she loves. And so now she is trying to become an IBM champion because she sees the value and she has been at Common and she understands. So it's stories like that that we need to continue to tell. So, and hopefully we have a lot of them to tell.
you know uh, to this particular young woman you mentioned, one of the things about becoming a champion is advocacy for the platform,
Yep.
and that might be a path not just for her but for many people. That's you literally
Yes.
are advocating for the platform. That's
Yep.
one of the basic requirements of being a champion. So just as an aside, but the
Yep.
other thing before we kind of wrap this up, I want to just speak to one more thing with you, and that is that You mentioned it earlier to me, I think before we started recording this, was just the IBMI community itself. And I think the community at large, while it's for those who are in it every day, understand the value of it, but
Mhm.
those who are saying, well, there's more to just a computing platform. It's the community at large. It's the support that you have of the people that are in it. And what's been your experience with the community? I know you're still fairly new to the
Mhm.
IBMI community, but what's been your experiences so far?
Well, I've come full circle because I wrote that book about
Well,
it,
that's true.
400 VP.
That's true. Exactly right.
900 pages, by the way. Back
Not-
when they were actually read books.
and printed.
Um, yes, and printed, exactly. Um, but to answer your question, so I started the director of my organization asked me to take a look at Power Skills Academy and try to rebuild it. And one of the things that she asked me to do was go to Common, and we call it a listening tour. So I didn't have a session. I didn't really have any plans to go to any specific sessions, but I sat at the booth and listened to people talk. And I got to tell you, she wasn't able to be at that one. And when I came back, I said, these people are so energized and passionate, and they want to help. We need to focus on I because our Power Skills Academy covers AIX and Linux. We have programs for both of those operating systems, but we've got so many people interested in helping us be successful. It is it is quite awesome. I'm gonna so I have a lot of tattoos. Those of you who know me know I have a lot of tattoos. Maybe I'll get my IBMI tattoo the next time.
You wouldn't be the
Yeah.
first one, by the way. There is someone
I
else.
know.
Yeah.
I've heard this.
But and maybe I'm a little bit biased because I feel like I am part of that community, and
Yes.
I think I do contribute a little to the community, but I was just going to say, no matter how much anybody gives, I can guarantee you, and I say this all the time, no matter how much you give, you'll be getting so much more back.
Well, and I think the key message for a person like me, Charlie, is that I was nervous to approach anyone. I've talked to you about, like, well, I don't, not in public, but everyone wanted to tell me their story and everyone was supportive. And if I said, hey, would you be interested in doing X? I have yet to receive a no. So I think that's great. So I really do appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I do appreciate it.
Yeah, but it's not, well, your raps, I agree with you. I feel the same way, by the way. And I think that's what makes it so special. It really does. I mean, I mean, I don't want to sound so corny, I suppose, but it's a family. It's really a family.
Yep.
It's hard to describe it to people who are not in it, and it's an interesting community. It's a great thing. It's
Yep.
and it's all encompassing and all welcoming, and it's all those things. It really is.
Yep.
Um, and there's still room for more people in that space, make a bigger pie, as we say, and that includes new talent, new speakers, new people who want to
Yep.
just advocate, new champions, as you mentioned earlier. There's
Yep.
room for that, and I welcome it. It's wonderful. So
Yep.
um
Absolutely.
so before we kind of really wrap this up, I wanted what would be like your final message, I think, to anybody who needs to hear more about the Power Skills Academy or about IBMI or anything. What's the final message? If you had an opportunity to stand on top of the globe, on top of the planet with a megaphone, what's the message you want to really just get out there and let people
Attention.
why they need to know more about this and how they get involved, specifically how they get involved.
Um, well, this is something that I say every time I talk to somebody about Power Skills Academy and our mission. It's what I like to think of as a three-circle Venn diagram. It takes everyone. Collaboration is key. In one circle is Power Skills Academy and IBM. In one circle are community and customers and partners that are interested in the skills. The third one are our academic institutions, the colleges that hopefully will embrace the technology and the platform. And then right there in the middle is IBM iSkills. So it takes, I guess the key message, that's my long-winded way of saying the key message is collaboration is absolutely necessary. I can't do it myself. You guys can't do it yourself. The schools obviously can't do it themselves. They don't know that they don't know what they don't know, but we can all do it together. So, and I welcome anyone who wants to talk to me about that at any time.
I think that's a great final message. And for anybody needing to know more, reach out to Linda Alkire for sure. Find the Power Skills Academy online. You can find a resource online. You can Google it, I imagine. You can search for it. You'll find it. And hopefully this podcast will help bolster that, I think.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so glad you were able to join me today. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Go Vikings.
You beat me to the punch. You took my final line, so I'll say it anyway. Go Vikings. I hope I hope when I see you next time in person, that you still have that great big smile on you're wearing your Viking shirt and you're all.
I will. I absolutely will be.
Great, Linda. It was so great to chat with you. I'm so glad we had this opportunity to do this. Thank you for joining me.
Me too. And, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And everybody else out there, thank you for joining me here today on this podcast, Tech Channel Podcast. Always great. We always have some great topics, great speakers, great guests like Linda. And until next time, everybody, see you soon. Bye now.
Bye now. Thank you.